beautiful souls, Avalon here, and today I would like to do a little bit of a witchy book recommendation video that has been highly requested. So I thought that I would get ahead of things and actually do that, and it was going to be fun. I'm not going to be too detailed about it. It's going to be just a selection of books that I have found to be absolutely brilliant when I was much younger, even really nourishing now as I'm in my late 30s. So I look back on these books with fondness. I'm excited about the new ones that I found, and so I thought I'd include a little selection of those books and tell you why they left such an impact on me. So let's get started. Here is my book recommendations for those who want to begin on that beautiful pagan witchy path. These are my favorites. There's quite a few, and a few that I've left out as well, because they're scattered all throughout my house and I don't know exactly where everything is at the moment. You are about to discover the deep love that I have for Scott Cunningham, because I do have quite a few Scott Cunningham books, despite the fact that not all of them are here with me. Some are out on loan with friends. It's a thing. It's a thing. I won't hide it. I love it. Here we have Magical Households by Scott Cunningham and David Harrington. Spells and rituals for the home. Such a comforting little read. It's not the biggest book, as you can see. I've had it for a little while. It's starting to age, but it is, you know, it's just so pretty. It's so sweet. It's so simple. It's creative. It's accessible information, and it's inspiring because it's non-convoluted. It doesn't make you feel like you need a bajillion different things in order to get stuff done. So it's a beautiful, beautiful book, and it is one of my, you know, Scott Cunningham collections. Kathy Jones has written Priestesses of Avalon, Priestess of the Goddess. And if you're interested in the Avalonian tradition, then you will absolutely adore this book. And I happen to be interested in the Avalonian tradition, and I happen to think that this is a very worthwhile read. Kathy Jones is just a very intuitive individual who seems to know her environment very well, who has connected with her environment in a deeply spiritual manner, and so she has intuited a lot of her knowledge from her landscape, and I happen to think that that is very beautiful. And so here is a collection of her work, essentially, and yeah, it's a big book to get through, and you need to be quite interested in the topic in order to go there, or you could just use it as a reference and read a little bit at a time. But I happened to really like it, and I discovered this book as I was watching Olivia from Egyptian's channel. Back we are with Scott Cunningham and his Encyclopedia of Crystal, Gems and Metal Magic. And so if you wanted to know how to utilize crystals and gems in your magical working, some of their properties, some witchy little tips and tricks that you can do with them, then this is a great little introductory book. I smile a bit when I read Encyclopedia of, because even though it is a great reference book, encyclopedia to me is volumes upon volumes, like in giant books. And so I scoff a little bit at the term encyclopedia, but it is a very, very good little beginner's reference guide, and it gets creative with it, and is a great little read for that reason alone. Since we're on the topic of crystals, then I have to show you Love is in the Earth, a kaleidoscope of crystals. This is the updated version. It's actually a very old book, and I absolutely love the way this has been laid out. So you can see the crystal, you can see the astrological signs, how it's formed, you know, a little bit about the stone, then what the stone can be utilized for. And she has some really out there kinds of stones included in this particular book. And I really quite like it. What's this one that I've marked? Oh look, carnelian. There you go. Astrological sign of Taurus, Cancer and Leo. And a little bit of information. Mineral protects against, further assists, provides an energy conducive to stabilization of energy in the home. So you get quite a bit on it. Some more than others. Some crystals you get a bigger write-up. It's got a whole section and that's continued to there. And then it's got the number that it vibrates towards. And a bit of the medical use as well. But it's got an enormous section on quartz crystal in here. This is a beautifully big book. This book has been remade. This is the back of it. That's her there. This book has been remade into a big compendium, like a giant, proper textbook, heavy. Looks like a law book. You could hit someone over the head with it and do some damage. But it's full colour and it's big and it's hardbound. And it's very enticing, but it's a couple of $100. So there's that one. And now we have a bit of Buckland. I must confess to quite despising the cover of this book. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. And this is practical colour magic. So this will give you a breakdown of colour magic and an introduction to colour magic and ways that you can utilise it and a little bit of an intro and, it's a great little beginner's reference. And it gets you understanding how you can utilise magic in your craft and ideas to consider. And, Buckland does write a good book. I don't love his style of writing, but I do appreciate his contributions to the resources in the pagan witchy community. And for that reason alone, it's worth it. Like, you get these basic descriptions down here, read, so the associations at least, and then over here you get more. Colour chart, traditional associations. Yeah, so it's a comprehensive little book in and of itself. I despise the cover of it. I've had it for years though. Look, from the Mystic Connection. When I lived in Mackay, when I was 20 years old. God, that's a long time. This is one of those books that rocked my world. This is my everything book. It has everything in it. It says it's the complete book of, and it's pretty damn complete, but again, it's that whole encyclopedia issue. It doesn't have absolutely everything. But it is really juicy. Look at this. I flip through. It's got palmistry, it's got tarot, it's got numerology, it's got the I Ching, it's got an introduction essentially to just about everything. And a good decent bit of history here and there, and it's a great reference book. Love it, absolutely love it. Highly recommend this book. You can see the ones that I've used a lot of because I've peeled them back thousands of times. Where did this one come from? Surprise, surprise, the Mystic Connection. I tell you what, once I found the place to buy books from, I was there all the time. And this is Everyday Magic by Cassandra Carter. Little unknown book. Australian author. Old book for me. It's one of my older ones, I guess. And I really liked this book. It's very straightforward. It's very Celtic wisecraft. That's what I would call this. Very elemental in its approach and rooted in Celtic origin. Just basic common sense, low folk magic. And here we have some more Cunningham, Techniques of Natural Magic. This one is Earth Power. And this is a great little introduction to the mystery, magic and power of the natural world, the earth. And it is very elemental in its orientation, which I really like because I'm an elemental practitioner. And it's got a little bit of everything, but great emphasis on how to draw power from the earth and not utilize your own personal power, which is a very handy tip to hang on to. Ooh, Cunningham. Look at that. A very used book. This is the complete book of incense oils and brews, and I loved this book. I absolutely loved it. It's got such old school recipes to it. Half of this stuff is impossible to source. Well, it was at the time that I acquired this book when I was in my teens. But these are not herbs that you could get here, and Cunningham does assist you to, you know, to, what's the word? Substitute. Gives you, you know, a few different options for Sabbath oils. And where possible, and a few different options for protection oil, as you can see. Like, it gives you a few different options, but still, depending on where you are in the world, some of this ingredient listed is not going to be so easily sourced, and that's where learning to substitute, doctrine of correspondences, things of that nature, that is, it becomes important, essentially. It becomes really important. Excuse me, little ant. Conway, DJ Conway, Celtic magic. When I was looking for something on Celtic magic, or just Celtic from a pagan perspective, and I was done reading, you know, myth and legend at the library, I came across this little book. And it had a little bit of the tale of the gods in it. It had a little bit of Celtic lore, the names of the gods, herbs, and things of that nature that were really, really interesting to me at that time. I was 16, maybe 17 when I acquired this book. Was I? Maybe. Maybe that was it. I can't really remember. I just remember being very young when I got it. But I really enjoyed it at the time, and I understand that it is by no means a comprehensive, you know, book on Celtic magic. There is much better references in this day and age. This one, you know, it was what was available to me at the time, and therefore I devoured it over and over again, and I really, really enjoyed it for that reason, and I appreciate having been able to find it and someone having written it. So thank you, DJ Conway, because at that time there was not a lot out there on specifically Celtic magic like there is now. So special. Okay, and this is my Cunningham's Crafty collection, I guess you could say. So this is magical herbalism, and this is a great little reference with little instructions and recipes and how-tos. Here it's a great how-to. Got a good breakdown of herbs that are most used, I guess, by him, essentially, and little instructionals of how to put things together and recipes to follow, and, you know, just a good bit of wisdom. This is a great book to draw inspiration from. So once you start to learn the foundations, you can see how other people put it together. This is one book, one example of how this gentleman put it together, and you can utilize these as inspirations and start creating your own concoctions and having a lot of fun with it. Moving on to this one, this builds on this because it has a really great breakdown of herbs, or botanicals essentially. This includes woods, gums, resins, you name it, it's in here. And I love the way that this book is structured. So let's have a look here. Echinacea, you have the botanic name, so the Latin name for G, which is the warning code, and G generally means general usage, non-harmful. You have folk names, powers, magical uses. Some herbs have more of a write-up. Take, for instance, elder. And so this is not safe for use. It has its X, and then you have all the folk name, then you have the gender, planet, element, deity, powers, ritual use, and then you've got a ton of stuff here, then the magical use. And as you can see, it's got a lot more to it. Each section has a different variety. It's not all the same amount of information, so some has a bit more, some have a bit less. But it's very, very nice. But the thing I love about it is the back of this book here. Here you've got the magical intentions. You've got a list of magical intentions here, so qualities. And then you have the elemental rulers, so it's broken down into the elements. And then you have the planetary rulers, and then you have the masculine and feminine, so you have the duality or the gender, and then you have your codes, your safety codes here to follow. So it's a great layout. I would love to see someone update this book. I really would, because it could generally be a massive encyclopedia, and that would be awesome. And then over here we have Magical Aromatherapy for those who like to work with oils. It's a little introductory guide. It gives you a little understanding of the power of aroma, how to use scent, utilizing oils and aromatherapy in your practice, and it's just a really great little basic book to assist you in deciding whether or not that's something that you would like to do, and giving you inspiration on how you can go about doing that, on understanding why one does that, and you know, the whole concept of the power of scent being so triggered to your memory is just a very, very beautiful thing. And aromatherapy in this day and age, in this modern era, is a big deal. Back in the day, it wasn't as big a deal as it is now, or it wasn't as available. It was still a big deal, but it wasn't as available. The information wasn't as available. And at that time, and I bought this when I was in my teens, over 200,000 copies had been sold. That was a lot for this particular author. He was very, very good at what he did. Here we have Valerie Worth and the Crone's Book of Words. This is a classic book. Look at this. Just full witch cover. And it's a collection of poetry, incantations, essentially, spells, and talismans and sigils, and yeah, there's a good bit of stuff in here. It's very poetic, and it's derived from traditional resources. Some of it, at least, is, and there is a little something to that, but it's splendidly put together. Those who do own this book love it for a particular reason. I love it for its poetry. I love it for the way that she has infused magic, traditional aspects of traditional witchcraft, for instance, and, you know, just this, you know, beautiful poetry. So, the Crone's Book of Words, very beautiful. This one here is by Aussie witch Lee DeAngelis, Witchcraft, Theory and Practice. I've had this one for a bit of time as well. I didn't mind this book, but I did, it raised some questions and put forth some information that I wasn't 100% comfortable with, which is funny, but I might talk about that at another time. But it did bring a lot to light for me, and it showed me a different perspective on magic, and I always like this. All these books say similar things, but they're different perspectives, and it's the different perspectives that I really, really love. Can you see this ant just like harassing me right now? But that's it. Lee DeAngelis is on YouTube, actually. She's a teacher. You can train with her. She has a very unique theory, you know, for her magic, and that's beautiful. It's progressive in its own way because she's created her own thing, which is quite nice. Yes. More Cunningham! Woo! This is more techniques to natural magic, and this is elemental magic. I love this book because it's elemental magic. So earth power was one thing. This is a continuation on earth power and elemental magic, which I really, really love. So if you've ever wanted to learn more about elemental magic, then you have this beautiful resource. And I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the way it's laid out. I love the tips and tricks on spells. A lot of this is like, a lot of the older books are like recipes for spells, which I've never been into. I've never tried another person's spells. I'd make up my own. But for those who have never had experience with spellcraft, or, you know, have been able to observe another person working magic, then it's a great resource, and these spells make for great little practice runs. So yeah, it's very beautiful. We're very lucky to be able to have some of these older resources. A classic book, DJ Conway's Moon Magic. Very lovely. If you're interested in lunar magic, how to work with the moon in different ways, it's actually quite a good little book when you think about it. It's got a few festivals listed, which is great. Sayings and laws, deity, correspondence. It's got a good section on each moon in the month, so that's really nice. Craft, recipes, as you can see, myth. It's got quite the write-up. A good bit of just a good bit of information on each section, and then you'll go into the next month And there you are, you're in May, so that was all of April. So you see, you get quite a bit of information. And I really like this book. I find the cover to be really stunning. This book called out to me the other day. For some reason it kept on popping into my mind, and I'm so glad that I grabbed it because it had really good medicine for me at the time. With the theory of the moon in mind, we have Moon Rites here, which is A Feminine Path to Personal Power by Michelle Royce. This is not quite the same type of material. This is much more healing, integrative kind of feminine goddess type of work, whereas this is very different in its tone. So this is feminine mysteries, etc., etc. So they're very, very different, but they are both about the moon, moon rites, moon magic. Very, very nice little book. It's been around for a while. This is Witches and Wizards by Lucy Cavendish. This is one of my newest. Newest. This is my autographed copy. I love Lucy. Published by Rockpool, and it's the story of magicians. So you have the story of, I do believe Merlin's in here. That's Merlin. Then we have, I think, Eliphas Levi. I'm going backwards here. We have a ton of different personalities in here. There we go, John Dee, that's the one that I was looking at, John Dee. So absolutely beautiful little descriptives of, it's hardcover too, inside of the Malleus Maleficarum. Yeah, just a little beautiful write-up of real life stories behind occult's greatest legends. It is what it says it is. So very, very nice. And the fact that it says the Supernatural Series Book 1, you know, it makes me excited to see a book 2 and 3 and 4. But I love Lucy's work. She's fabulous. Really nice. Here we have The Healing Craft, Healing Practices of Witches and Pagans by Janet and Stuart Farrar and Gavin Bone. This is a great book on healing modalities, healing practices, health, physiology, etc. There is a little bit on physiology in here. Any book that starts off with the quotations or the analysis of the Hippocratic Oath is going to be a bit more substantial than your usual. But it's got a really great layout, and if you're interested in healing arts and witchcraft, how to combine the two, how to learn more, this is going to be a great read for you. I do believe that Janet and Stuart Farr, or Gavin Bone, were Alexandrian Wiccan, practitioners of Alexandrian Wicca. Don't quote me on that though, because I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe that that's how it went. I haven't read their books for a very, very long time, but it's a very substantial read, I will tell you that. If you're interested in healing arts, this might be something that tickles your fancy, particularly from a witches or pagans perspective. So it's good stuff. And then one of my absolute favorites, Witch a Magical Year by Fiona Horn. I've talked about this recently on my channel, and I just love this book. I just love this book so much. It's got so much stuff in it. Oh, I tell you what, look at it. Look at her little inclusions, little ritual ideas. 7 days to magical me. 7 days to magical new me, or something like that, was a ritual. What was that? Purification. Oh God, I'm reminiscing now. There we go. 7 days to a magical new you. And she walks you through the 7-day little makeover, and She's got interviews in here with people. She's got the basics. She's got the basic holidays. She's got the basics in there. But then she's got how she applies it in her everyday life and her own personal philosophy and her own personal take on it. So it's not so much instructional per se, although there is an element of instruction there. It's just like, this is how I do it, and I just wanted to share how I do it with you. And that's what I really liked about it, because it wasn't about, you know, self-promotion necessarily. It wasn't about, you know, her trying to, you know, get you to practice something in her way. It was very much about showing you how one person does it and how you're open then to, you know, to interpret and to adapt to rituals to suit you. And it's very Wiccan in its read though. Not read, but, you know, in the way it reads. But it's very, very nice. Very, very nice little book, and I love her voice. And this book actually means quite a lot to me, more than it probably should, but was one of my first finds. And there you have it. A very shaky, wonky little walkthrough of some of my recommended books. I hope you've enjoyed it. It wasn't very comprehensive. I didn't go too deep into the books. It's more a bit of a show and tell, get you comfortable with the images, tell you a little bit about why I like them, get you familiar with the cover, and see if, you know, one doesn't jump out at you and make you curious enough to want to explore it. So that's what I have for you today. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed it. Look after yourselves, beautiful souls, and much love and many blessings.